You're walking down the street, lost in thought, when suddenly a name flashes across your mind, completely unprovoked. It's not someone you were just speaking about, not someone you saw on social media, yet here they are, occupying space in your mind, as if they had been standing next to you all along. You shake it off, but minutes later a song plays on the radio and it's their song. Or maybe you overhear someone saying their name in a random conversation at the coffee shop. These moments feel strange, almost eerie, like the universe is sending you a message. At first, you might brush it off as a coincidence, but deep inside, you know it's not. You weren't even thinking about this person, so why are they showing up everywhere? Why does it feel like their energy is circling around you, making its presence known? That's because thoughts are not isolated. They are energy. And energy moves. When someone is thinking about you intensely, their energy reaches out. And if you're tuned in, even unconsciously, you will feel it. Now, this doesn't mean you have some supernatural ability to read minds, nor does it mean that this person is going to call you tomorrow. But what it does mean is that the mind operates on frequencies much like radio waves. If two people are deeply connected, even without direct communication, their thoughts, emotions, and energy can travel between them. That's why, out of nowhere, you feel something you can't quite explain. One of the most powerful ways this manifests is through sudden emotional shifts. You could be feeling completely at peace one moment, only to be hit with an intense wave of sadness, nostalgia, or even excitement the next. And what makes this so perplexing is that there's no immediate cause. You weren't triggered by anything obvious. The feeling simply arrived. It knocked on the door of your consciousness, demanding to be acknowledged. What's happening here is that your emotional state is responding to something beyond the physical. The person on your mind is likely thinking of you at that exact moment, whether consciously or subconsciously. Their emotions, whether it be longing, regret, curiosity, or affection, are being projected outward. And because of your connection, your subconscious picks up on it. This is why people often say they just knew someone was going to text them before it happened. Or why, after months of not speaking, you suddenly feel an overwhelming urge to reach out, only to find out later that they had been thinking about you too. It's not a coincidence. It's a transference of energy. The stronger the bond, the stronger the pull. However, this is where things can become tricky. If the emotional shift is positive, it might feel like a warm embrace, a comforting presence reminding you that you are still connected. But if the emotion is heavy, if it carries sadness, confusion, or anxiety, it can easily drag you into a place of overthinking. You start questioning why this is happening, what it means, and whether you should act on it. Your mind begins replaying memories, dissecting conversations, and searching for hidden meanings. This is a dangerous trap, because the more you dwell on these emotions, the more power you give to them. And the more power you give to them, the harder it becomes to separate your own feelings from the energy you're absorbing. Before you know it, you're caught in a loop, thinking about them, wondering if they're thinking about you, feeling their energy, then sinking deeper into your own emotions. This is why awareness is key. When you feel an emotional shift that seems to come from nowhere, pause, take a deep breath, ask yourself, is this my emotion or is it something I'm picking up on? If you were feeling fine just moments before, chances are this wave of emotion does not originate from within you. It is merely passing through you. And this is where you must exercise control. Just because you feel something intensely does not mean you have to claim it as your own. Not every thought requires action. Not every emotion requires a response. Recognize what is happening, but do not let it consume you. Think of it like standing in the ocean. Waves will come, some gentle, some strong, some unexpected. If you try to fight them, they will pull you under. But if you stand firm, allowing them to wash over you without resistance, they will eventually retreat back into the sea where they belong. The same goes for emotional shifts triggered by another person's thoughts. Acknowledge the feeling, but do not chase it. Observe the thought, but do not attach to it. Remind yourself that just because someone is thinking about you does not mean you need to disrupt your own peace. This is the foundation of emotional discipline. It's the ability to recognize when an emotion is influencing you and making a conscious choice not to let it control your actions. Because the truth is, you cannot stop someone from thinking about you, but you can stop yourself from becoming entangled in their energy. And the moment you learn how to do this, how to detach from the pull of someone else's thoughts while maintaining your own inner balance, you regain your power. You lay down at night, close your eyes, and drift into sleep, only to find yourself in a vivid dream with a familiar face. It's them, the person you haven't spoken to in weeks, months, maybe even years. But here they are, standing in front of you, as real as ever. You can see their expression, hear their voice, and feel their presence in a way that seems almost tangible. It's not just another random dream. It feels significant, different. And when you wake up, the emotions from the dream linger, almost as if you truly spent time with them. You try to shake it off, telling yourself it was just a dream, but the feeling won't go away. It stays with you, making you wonder, why now? Why them? What does it mean? Dreams are often dismissed as nothing more than the subconscious mind sorting through memories, experiences, and emotions. But there are times when a dream is more than just a mental replay of past events. Sometimes it serves as a direct channel, an unseen bridge connecting you to another person's thoughts and emotions. This is because dreams operate on a level beyond logic, beyond physical interaction. They tap into the subconscious, the place where energy flows freely without the limitations of distance, time, or communication barriers. When you dream of someone unexpectedly, especially someone you haven't been consciously thinking about, it's often because there is an energetic link between you. Your subconscious mind is receiving something, a thought, a memory, a feeling from them, even if they aren't physically present. This is why dreams of certain people feel different from ordinary dreams. They carry weight, depth, a sense of reality that cannot be ignored. You might even find yourself having conversations with this person in the dream, sharing words that feel real and meaningful. Sometimes they speak to you as if they have something important to say, something left unsaid in the waking world. Other times the dream consists of nothing more than their presence. No words, just a deep knowing that you are connected in that moment. And then there are those dreams that don't just feel real, they seem almost prophetic. You wake up with a sense of certainty that this dream was not random, that it held a message meant for you to understand. Maybe after dreaming of this person, they suddenly reach out to you in real life. Maybe you see their name appear somewhere later that day, or hear about them from someone unexpectedly. It's as if the universe is affirming what you already felt, that something unseen is happening beneath the surface. This is where many people fall into the trap of overanalyzing. They start dissecting every detail of the dream, trying to extract meaning from it, looking for signs that it means something significant. The emotions from the dream seep into their waking life, making them long for the connection, question their feelings, and wonder if they should act on them. They replay the dream in their mind, allowing it to stir emotions that wouldn't have existed otherwise. But here's the truth. Just because you dream of someone does not mean you are meant to chase them. Dreams are reflections, but they are not instructions. They are glimpses into the subconscious, but they are not a roadmap to your destiny. A dream can be powerful, but it should not dictate your actions or emotions. One of the most dangerous things about dream connections is how they can create an illusion of closeness where none actually exists. You might feel as if you've just had a deep, meaningful interaction with this person, but in reality, nothing has changed. The dream was real to you, but it does not mean it was real to them. You don't know if they had the same dream, if they felt the same emotions, or if they even thought of you at all. But your mind convinces you that something has shifted. And that belief alone can be enough to stir emotions that were previously settled. This is why emotional discipline is essential. When you wake up from a dream about someone, acknowledge it, but do not attach yourself to it. Recognize that dreams can be influenced by many things: past memories, unresolved emotions, even subconscious fears. Not every dream is a message. Not every dream is a sign. And even if there is a connection, even if this person truly was thinking about you and that energy found its way into your subconscious, the question remains, what will you do with that information? Will you allow it to consume your thoughts, make you second guess yourself, or pull you back into emotions you've already moved past? Or will you recognize it for what it is? Just a fleeting moment in the vast landscape of your mind, something to observe but not to dwell on. The most powerful thing you can do is remain grounded in reality. If someone is meant to be in your life, they will be there. Not just in dreams, but in real, tangible ways. And if they are not, then no dream, no thought, no moment of subconscious connection should have the power to disturb your peace. You pick up your phone, and for a moment, your finger hovers over their contact. You weren't planning to text them. You weren't even thinking about them 5 minutes ago, but suddenly there's this inexplicable urge. It's as if something outside of you is nudging you, whispering that they might be thinking about you too. Maybe you even type out a message, but something stops you from pressing send. Instead, you put the phone down, trying to shake off the feeling, only to have it return even stronger minutes later. And then it happens. Your phone lights up with a notification, and it's them. They sent a text, they called, they reacted to your post. Out of nowhere, just as you were about to reach out to them, they reached out first. You sit there for a moment, stunned. Was it just a coincidence? Or was there something more at play? This isn't just a rare phenomenon. It happens far too often to be dismissed as chance. People who are connected on an energetic level experience these moments of synchronicity. It's as if the thoughts between them are traveling across an unseen frequency, bouncing back and forth, creating this silent communication before any words are even exchanged. There's a reason why you suddenly feel the urge to reach out. It's not just nostalgia. It's not just boredom. More often than not, it's because they are thinking of you at that exact moment, and you are picking up on it without realizing. Energy moves. Thoughts are energy. Every time someone directs their focus intensely towards you, whether with love, regret, curiosity, or longing, that energy doesn't just disappear into thin air. It moves outward, seeking a connection, seeking a way to be received. And if you have ever shared a strong emotional bond with that person, even if time and distance have come between you, that energy can still find you. This is why when someone is missing you deeply, you might feel their presence even when they are miles away. You might suddenly remember a conversation, hear their laughter in your mind, or get an overwhelming sense that they are near. It's not just memory, it's energetic transference. And when the pull becomes strong enough, it manifests in real life. You get the sudden desire to check their social media. You randomly bring them up in conversation without knowing why. You get that gut feeling, that unshakable knowing that they are thinking about you too. Then the confirmation arrives. You hear from them. You see their name pop up unexpectedly. You run into them in a place where you least expect it to. It feels too perfect to be coincidence, but too surreal to fully explain. This is the power of connected energy. It is the silent force that pulls two people back into alignment, even when logic says they should have long moved on. But this is where things can become tricky. Just because you feel the pull does not mean you need to follow it. Just because they are thinking about you does not mean you need to respond. And just because you are still connected does not mean you are meant to reconnect. This is where emotional mastery comes in. When you feel the sudden urge to reach out, pause. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is this truly my desire? Or am I just absorbing their energy? Because if you're not careful, these moments can pull you back into cycles you've already outgrown. They can reopen wounds that were finally starting to heal. They can make you chase a connection that only exists in the realm of thought, but lacks substance in reality. And this is the hardest truth to accept. Sometimes when someone is thinking of you intensely, it's because they miss you, but missing you does not mean they have changed. Missing you does not mean they are good for you. Missing you does not mean they are ready to treat you the way you deserve. This is where you must be strong. You must recognize that not every thought needs to become an action. Not every urge to reach out must be followed. Not every feeling is a sign that you should go backward. Sometimes the real test is in your ability to feel their energy but not react to it. To acknowledge their presence in your mind but not let it control you. To sense the connection but still choose yourself. Because at the end of the day, thoughts and energy may travel, but your power lies in what you choose to do with them. You're going about your day, minding your own business, when suddenly a song plays that reminds you of them. Not just any song, their song, the one you both used to listen to together, the one that holds memories, the one that takes you right back to a specific moment in time. It catches you off guard. Maybe you haven't thought about them in a while. Maybe you've been doing a good job moving forward. But in that instant, it's as if the past reaches out and pulls you back. At first, you brush it off. It's just a song, just a coincidence. But then it keeps happening. You start seeing their name everywhere. On billboards, in books, in conversations. You hear about them from someone unexpectedly. You keep running into reminders of them in places you never expected. It's almost as if the universe is trying to tell you something, as if there's an invisible thread pulling them into your awareness over and over again. It doesn't make sense. Why now? Why after all this time are they suddenly everywhere? You weren't looking for signs, yet here they are. You weren't trying to remember them, yet something keeps making sure you do. And then the strangest thing happens. You get the feeling that they might be experiencing the same thing. You start wondering, are they thinking of me too? Are they seeing the same signs? Is this a message? The truth is, energy doesn't just disappear. When two people have shared a strong emotional connection, that energy doesn't fade into nothingness. It lingers. It moves. It finds ways to be felt. And when one person starts thinking intensely about the other, that energy often manifests as synchronicities. It's like a signal being sent out, a ripple effect that starts making its way back to the other person in the form of unexpected reminders. These signs, songs, names, repeated numbers, places, and sudden thoughts aren't always random. They often appear when emotions are being stirred, when someone is trying to suppress feelings, or when unfinished energy between two people still exists. But here's where people get caught up. They start looking at these signs as proof of something bigger. They convince themselves that these reminders mean they are meant to reconnect, that the universe is guiding them back together. They take it as a reason to reach out, to open old doors, to revisit emotions that had been put to rest. And this is where self-awareness becomes crucial. Because while signs may be real, they do not always mean what we want them to mean. Just because you are seeing their name everywhere doesn't mean they are meant to return to your life. Just because a song plays that reminds you of them doesn't mean they are thinking about you in the way you hope. Just because the universe is sending reminders does not mean it's sending instructions. Signs appear when energy is active, but energy can be active for many reasons. Maybe they are thinking of you, maybe they are missing you, or maybe you are the one unconsciously calling them into your awareness because a part of you is still attached to the past. This is why the most powerful thing you can do when you start noticing these signs is to pause. Take a step back. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Am I looking for meaning in these signs, or am I truly receiving a message? Because the mind has a way of playing tricks. If you are longing for someone, if you still have emotional ties to them, you will start seeing signs that validate your emotions. You will attract reminders of them because your energy is still connected to theirs. But that doesn't mean you are meant to go backward. The real test is in your ability to see the signs but not be controlled by them. To acknowledge the reminders but not let them dictate your actions. To recognize the synchronicities but still trust that what is meant for you will never require you to chase after it. Because here's the truth. If two people are truly meant to be in each other's lives again, it will happen naturally. It won't be forced. It won't be a game of signs and hints. It will be real, intentional, and clear. And until that clarity exists, the best thing you can do is focus on yourself. Because sometimes the signs aren't telling you to reconnect with them. They are telling you to reconnect with yourself. There are moments when you catch yourself staring off into space, lost in thought, and suddenly they appear in your mind. You weren't thinking about them a second ago, but now their face, their voice, their presence is vivid. It's not a fleeting thought, it lingers. You feel something, an emotion you can't quite place. Maybe it's warmth, maybe it's sadness. Maybe it's just a quiet knowing that somewhere at this very moment, they might be thinking of you too. It's a strange experience, almost surreal. One minute you're focused on your tasks, and the next it's as if your mind has been hijacked by a presence that refuses to be ignored. It's not the same as ordinary memories. It's deeper, more intense. It feels like they are with you, even when they're not. You try to shake it off, distract yourself, move on with your day. But then the thought resurfaces again and again. And then something even stranger happens. You start to feel their emotions. You feel a sudden wave of sadness that isn't yours. A sense of longing that doesn't seem to belong to you. A surge of nostalgia that came out of nowhere. It's as if you're tuning into something beyond yourself. As if your emotions are being influenced by someone else's energy. This is no coincidence. Emotional transference is real. When two people share a deep connection, Their emotions don't just belong to them individually, they intertwine. They move across distance, across time, across. Have you ever suddenly felt anxious only to find out later that something had happened to someone you care about at that exact moment? Have you ever woken up feeling off only to discover that someone important to you was struggling that day? This is the unspoken language of energy. When someone thinks of you with enough intensity, their emotions don't just stay with them, they extend outward, seeking a connection. And if your bond with that person was once strong, you may be the one to receive that energy. This is why you can suddenly feel sadness without explanation, why you can sense someone's presence even when they are far away, why you can wake up from a dream about them only to hear from them the next day. Emotional transference happens most often when emotions are unresolved. When two people have unfinished energy between them, when words were left unsaid, when feelings were suppressed instead of processed, that energy continues to move between them. It creates an invisible tether, a line of communication that exists without words. But here's the part most people don't understand. You don't have to accept every emotion that enters your space. Just because you are feeling something intensely doesn't mean it belongs to you. Just because someone is thinking of you doesn't mean you need to respond. When you start feeling emotions that seem foreign, that seem to appear out of nowhere, pause. Take a moment to check in with yourself. Ask yourself, is this my emotion? Or am I picking up on someone else's? Because if it's not yours, you don't have to hold on to it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that just because they still feel connected to someone, it means they should reconnect. Just because their energy is strong doesn't mean they have changed. Just because you can sense their emotions doesn't mean they are right for you. This is where emotional discipline comes in. It takes awareness to recognize when you are feeling something that isn't yours. It takes strength to acknowledge the connection, but not act on it. It takes wisdom to understand that feeling someone's energy is not the same as being meant to be with them. Because here's the truth. If someone is truly meant to be in your life, you won't just feel their presence in your mind. They will show up in your life with clarity, with intention, with action. Until then, your job is not to chase their energy. It is not to hold on to emotions that don't belong to you. It is not to dwell in the past simply because the past still lingers in you. Your job is to master your emotions, to recognize what is truly yours and release what is not. Your job is to focus on the present, to ground yourself in reality, to trust that what is meant for you will never require you to live in the past. Because the strongest connections are not the ones that keep you trapped in longing. They are the ones that set you free. There are moments when the silence between you and someone else feels louder than words ever could. You go about your days pretending to be unaffected, convincing yourself that the connection is fading, that time is working its magic. But deep down, you know the truth. There is something unresolved, something unfinished, something that still lingers in the spaces between what was and what is. And then, without warning, you dream of them. It's not just any dream. It's vivid, detailed, almost too real. You can see them, hear them, feel their presence as if they are standing right in front of you. Maybe you're talking, maybe you're just looking at each other. Maybe the dream takes you back to a moment you once shared. But when you wake up, the feeling stays. It follows you throughout the day, leaving you wondering, why now? Why them? What does this mean? Dreams have a way of revealing what the conscious mind tries to suppress. When you try to move on from someone, your mind may do its best to bury the emotions, to push them aside, to make them feel distant. But your subconscious, it knows better. It remembers everything. It holds on to every moment, every feeling, every thought you've tried to ignore. And when it can't stay silent any longer, it speaks in the language of dreams. You may tell yourself that the dreams don't mean anything, that they're just random thoughts playing in the background of your sleep. But there's a difference between an ordinary dream and one that leaves an imprint on your soul. These aren't just images. They are messages, reflections of something deeper. And here's the part most people don't realize. Sometimes these dreams aren't just coming from you. Sometimes they are a reflection of what someone else is feeling, what someone else is thinking, what someone else is trying to suppress but can't. When two people share a deep emotional connection, their energy doesn't just disappear when they stop speaking. It lingers, it moves, it finds ways to be felt. You may not have spoken in months, but that doesn't mean the connection is gone. If they are thinking about you intensely, if they are missing you in ways they don't fully understand, if they are holding on to emotions they never expressed, that energy has to go somewhere. And often it finds its way into your dreams. You wake up with a heaviness you can't explain. You go about your day carrying the weight of a conversation that never happened, the presence of someone who isn't physically there. And you wonder, is this just my mind playing tricks, or is something bigger at work? The truth is, when emotions remain unresolved, they don't just disappear. They manifest in ways we can't always control. If there were words left unsaid, if there were feelings left unspoken, if the connection was never fully closed, it doesn't matter how much time passes. There will always be moments when that energy resurfaces. But here's where most people get caught up. They see these dreams as a sign to reach out, as proof that the other person is meant to come back, as a reason to reopen a door that was once closed. They let the dreams pull them into nostalgia, into longing, into a state of emotional confusion. But a dream is not always an instruction. Sometimes it's just a reflection. Sometimes it's just a way for the subconscious mind to process what it never had the chance to. Sometimes it's a reminder not of what should be, but of what was. The key is not to let the dream dictate your actions. The key is to observe it, to acknowledge it, but not to let it pull you back into the past. Because if someone is truly meant to be in your life again, it won't just happen in dreams, it will happen in reality. They won't just appear in your subconscious, they will make an effort in your conscious world. Until then, your dreams are not telling you to wait. They are not telling you to dwell. They are not telling you to go searching for what has already run its course. They are telling you to listen, to reflect, to understand the emotions that still exist within you, but not to be controlled by them. Because the most powerful thing you can do is not to chase the past, but to trust that the future will bring what is truly meant for you.